Hi there guys, so Eddie Hearn, Anthony Joshua's promoter, has explained the situation with Anthony Joshua's mandatories, the WBO Alexander Usyk and the IBF Kubrat Pulev. Now this is what Eddie Hearn had to say after writing to both governing bodies. We've written to the WBO and the IBF and it's like, no, we're next, no, we're next. Guys, who's effing next? Well, we are, no, we are. What are you going to do? Are you just going to fragment the belts with lack of common sense? There has to be some kind of rotation system that tells you who is next. You've got to encourage people to unify and become undisputed. That has to be the holy grail, and I feel like it's really frustrating. It's one of the many problems in boxing. If they say your next 2 fights have got to be mandatory, then the other mandatory, then okay. But don't say, no, these are your next 2 fights, and if you don't like it, then you have to drop a belt. That's the frustrating thing at the moment. We might have to vacate a belt. We're going to speak to Usyk, we're going to speak to Pulev. We're going to see what deals are to be done with those guys. And we're going to push with the IBF and the WBO for a solution. It's going to be a lot of hard work over the next couple of weeks trying to keep everyone happy. AJ is not afraid to lose a belt, but the whole idea is for him to win them and defend them. That's what he wants to do. So there we have it. That is what Eddie Hearn has had to say about the situation with Anthony Joshua's mandatories, and it does look like he's going to have to drop a belt. Now, I made a video yesterday explaining I would rather it be the WBO belt because then the vacant title will be fought out between Joseph Parker and Alexander Usyk, 2 matchroom fighters, meaning that Anthony Joshua could go and unify against them again. Whereas if he were to drop the IBF belt, then it would be between Kubrat Pulev and Adam Kaunaki for the vacant IBF title, meaning that the belt would either go to PBC or Top Rank, meaning that a unification fight would be very difficult to make because of the politics of the sport. More difficult if it went to PBC, because obviously that's Al Heyman. He is the promoter of Deontay Wilder, and we all know the situation there. Deontay Wilder has been ducking and diving for years, and Al Heyman has been the one sheltering him. So ultimately, we don't want to see the belts fragmented, but it seems like that is going to happen. Eddie Hearn has explained he cannot find a resolution at this stage, which is a great shame. I hope they can find a resolution and make sure that those both fights do happen next year, and each fighter gets that opportunity against Anthony Joshua, because they should want to win the belts off of the best man anyway. They wouldn't really want to fight for a vacant title because, yeah, they're world champion, but they didn't beat the best in order to win that world championship. So they should want to fight Anthony Joshua. Plus, the money they would get would be insane. So I would imagine that if they are true fighting men, they will want to fight Anthony Joshua. Especially Alexander Usyk. I know that he wants to fight Anthony Joshua. Kubrat Pulev, I mean, maybe he will go either way. Maybe he'll want to fight Anthony Joshua for the money, but also become a world champion. And the easier way to do that is if the belt is vacated and he fights Adam Kaunaki. So at this stage, it is unclear which belt will be vacated if that becomes mandatory, but I would hope that it would be the WBO because, as I said, that means that the unification fight between the winner of Joseph Parker and Alexander Usyk will be easy to make, whereas the IBF belt will be lost until they can get probably Deontay Wilder in the ring, because the first thing they will do if Adam Kaunaki won the vacant IBF title is put him straight in with Deontay Wilder for a unification fight. And then that gives Deontay Wilder even more power in negotiations for the undisputed fight, and it will give him even more reason to duck Anthony Joshua. So we don't want to see that happen. So at the end of the day, WBO is the better belt to vacate in my opinion. Now, hopefully he doesn't have to vacate a belt. It would be great if he can get both of his mandatories out the way. But the only problem is, if he does have to do that, then he is going to be very busy in the early half of next year. He's going to have 2 big fights, Kubrat Pulev and Alexander Usyk, which are quite tough fights, to be honest. I mean, the easier fight, I would say, on paper is Kubrat Pulev. Alexander Usyk is a very tough fight for Anthony Joshua. He's going to be a tough fight for anyone. Former undisputed cruiserweight champion. Now, if Anthony Joshua is going to fight both of them and deal with both of his mandatories, if there is a resolution to be made, then I believe the earliest that Anthony Joshua can get back into the ring is end of March, early April for the first one. Then obviously he's going to need another 3 to 4 months to get ready for the next one, because you need a break in between. You cannot just go from camp to camp like that. So he needs at least a week or 2 off after his fight with whoever he chooses first, especially if you are preparing for a top quality opponent, because my guess is that Kubrat Pulev is going to be first and then Alexander Usyk. Anthony Joshua needs ample time to prepare for someone like Alexander Usyk. Being unprepared against someone like that is going to be a big problem if that were to happen. So if that does happen, Anthony Joshua fights at the end of March or early April, that would put the Alexander Usyk fight at July at the earliest. So that means there will definitely have to be a resolution made in order for Anthony Joshua to defend both of his belts. As I said, that is a very quick turnaround for Anthony Joshua, who has only been fighting twice a year for the last couple of years anyway. But that's not to say it isn't possible, it is, because then as well, Anthony Joshua can have that undisputed fight perhaps at the end of next year or early 2021. So obviously getting his mandatories out of the way would open the door to that opportunity to challenge for undisputed. Guys, what are your thoughts on this? Eddie Hearn explaining that neither governing body is willing to give any ground on their mandatory situation. Do you believe there will be a resolution made? And if there is a belt to be dropped, which one would you rather it be? Guys, drop your thoughts in the comments below, click your thumbs up and subscribe if you are new. Thanks guys.